Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Listening and Learning. Today, we're going to be meteorologists. We're going to be learning about meteorology. And every day for morning meeting, we go over what the weather is like. Well, if we were a meteorologist, we would be planning out the weather for everybody to know. And it's really important that we know what the weather is going to be like because, say, we planned a picnic. Say it's Wednesday and we're planning a picnic for the weekend, but we need to know what that weather is going to be like for the weekend so we can look up Saturday and Sunday because our meteorologists have done it for us. So they've made the predictions. We can take their predictions and then we can go and schedule awesome activities with our friends and family. So that's why meteorology is really, really important. So today that's what we're going to be hearing about. So put those ears on. And here we go. Right there, here's the meteorologist. The meteorologist is the man that studies meteorology, and he studies all the weather patterns, and the climates, and he tells us what our weather is going to be like, and that's meteorology. Meteorology is the study of weather. We have records, and we have warning signals, especially if it's really bad snow, we have warnings. If it's really bad thunderstorms, we have warnings. The satellites are floating all the way up into space, and they send down us the really important information to help us keep the records. And the records is all that data that's been collected so that we can see, how the temperature has changed throughout, the years and the months. Well, we kind of sort of actually do. We keep a chart for our morning meeting, and that chart shows like how many days were sunny, how many days were cloudy, how many days were snowy. We don't really like those days, but we kept our own records. We keep our own records in Mrs. Stikowski's class. All right, here we go. Dear kindergartners, this is my last letter to you about seasons and weather. Today we will learn how to know what kind of weather is on its way. Have you ever watched the weatherman or weatherwoman on the news? Sometimes people blame the weatherman for bad weather, especially when their plans are spoiled by rain. But the weatherman does not control the weather. He just tries to predict or make his best guess at what the weather is going to be like later in the day, tomorrow, or next week. Sometimes he's right and sometimes he's wrong. The study of weather and making weather predictions is called meteorology. And the person who does this is called a meteorologist. The words weatherman and weatherwoman are sometimes used to describe people who appear on television to tell you about the weather. Maybe you've seen them on the evening news. Often, the weatherman or weatherwoman is a meteorologist. Predicting weather is important so that people will know what to wear that day and whether or not they will need an umbrella because of rain. Predicting weather also helps people to plan things like picnics or trips to the beach. If my parents are planning a family picnic, for example, they would want to make sure it is not going to rain on us when we're outside. But picnickers and vacationers are not the only ones who care what the meteorologist has to say. Farmers need to know how much rain to expect. If the meteorologist says it's not going to rain for a while, farmers may need to figure out another way to get water to their plants. In fact, anyone whose job could be affected by the weather needs a meteorologist. Whether the person is a baseball player, a construction worker, a garbage man, an airline pilot, or even an astronaut. One way meteorologists predict what the weather would be like in the future is by studying weather patterns and temperatures from the past. When you watch a weather report, the weather person will tell you what the high or the warmest temperature and the low or the coldest temperature will be for the day. High temperatures usually come during the daytime, and the low temperatures are usually at night. However, the weather person can also tell you if the temperatures on a particular day are normal for that time of year by checking the weather record. The weather record is kind of like a weather diary. It lists what the weather was like on that day in previous years. Besides looking at weather records, what else do meteorologists use to predict the weather? How do they know what it's going to happen? In fact, predicting the weather is quite complicated, and even with all of the amazing computers and equipment that we have nowadays, the weather person is still sometimes wrong. However, meteorologists' predictions are also correct a lot of the time. This is thanks to part to satellites like the one in this picture. Satellites are objects launched into space that contain cameras, radios, and antennas, but no people. Once in space, the satellites travel around the Earth, and the satellite cameras take pictures and beam them down to meteorologists. Using the photos, meteorologists can see storms as they develop and predict whether the skies will be clear or cloudy. Of course, you don't always need a meteorologist to tell you what the weather is going to be like, especially if dark clouds like this start to roll over your town. These dark clouds are types of cumulus clouds and often develop into thunderstorms. You can also find cumulus clouds during nice weather when they appear white and puffy like a cotton ball. These are cirrus clouds. They are thin and wispy clouds that float way up high in the sky. Usually cirrus clouds means the weather is going to be clear and pleasant. Stratus clouds are the third cloud type, and they float fairly low to the ground. These flat clouds can stretch across the entire sky. They sometimes drop little rain and drizzle. The most important part of a meteorologist's job is to help save lives by warning people when severe weather is on its way. Look at this picture. It was taken when a hurricane was heading toward land. A hurricane is a huge storm that forms out over the ocean. The meteorologist in this picture is studying images of a hurricane just as it's about to strike land. The image was made by a computer that is able, thanks to satellites, airplanes, and other tools, to determine how fast the wind is moving, how much it is raining, and which direction the storm is moving. Thanks to computers and satellites, the meteorologists saw the hurricanes days before it came anywhere near land, so they warned people to leave their homes and head to safer ground if necessary. A lot of people were kept safe from this severe weather because of the meteorologists. Meteorologists help people stay prepared for and safe during whatever challenges the weather may throw their way. Even though you can predict what the weather should be like during any given season where you live, it's important to always predict from day to day exactly what the weather will really be like. So it's a good idea to listen to your local weatherman or weatherwoman so you will know to carry an umbrella that day or bring along extra sunscreen. That way you'll always be prepared. Thank you so much for helping me with my weather project, and from now on, I hope you'll keep an eye to the sky and always pay attention to the weather in your neighborhood. Your friend, Annie. Oh, that was a good one. Who wants to be a meteorologist when they get older? Anybody? Anybody want to be a meteorologist? Wouldn't it be fun to be a meteorologist and to learn all that stuff about weather? I think that'd be really, really cool. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day, and thank you for learning about meteorologists today. Have a great one.
Mommy, look what I found outside.